Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you all here. And guess who became the lucky moderator today? That would be me, with two of the most gallant and handsome people on the panel. So, swinging right into the flow of the matter, I'm starting with Colonel Avnish, with his new publication, your first book, Boots, Bonds and Belly Laughs, which is filled with moments that are both deeply human and irresistibly funny. What was the very first story that convinced you that humor in uniform deserved to be documented? And I would invite you to also relate that anecdote.
Thanks, Aradhika, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This term, humor in uniform, was adopted by the iconic Reader's Digest, as we all know, and for decades, the contents are being carried by it. A soldier of any rank is generally perceived as a stern, a guy with a stiff upper lip, which is partly correct. But more important is that he belongs to the society. He is the son of the soil. And he also has a reasonable degree of a funny bone. Now, the rigid military protocol, the strict discipline, the stressful situations, challenging situations, crop up now and then. The peculiarity of a military humor is that it is not structured, it is natural, it is spontaneous, and it is innocent reaction to a situation wherein the funny bone surfaces. I'll give you an example. I was commanding my regiment during Operation Prakaram, which happened post the Parliament attack in 2001. And we were all mobilized. My regiment was just about 2 kilometers short of Longewala. Longewala that we all know of 1971. And when, God bless his soul, General Pervez Musharraf delivered a talk on the 13th, that is the Lodi, we in the regiment were absolutely prepared. That is the first time in my command of the last 6 months that I was in the chair, that 100% of my manpower was back with me. All 54 tanks of mine were actually revving to go in. And when this thing happened, I got everybody together. It's called a Sainik Sammelan, good old Darbar. And after giving them a pep talk, I said, who wants to lead the regiment? And it was like the fastest finger, what Vivek said, asking questions on Deepti ma'am's talk. The fastest one was one guy, he was Sipoy, we call them Swar, Manjeet. And then of course, whole lot of hands came up, and I asked Manjeet, Tusi kyon? Why do you want to, how do you want to volunteer like this? So he stands up and he says, बीवी की दुत्कार, हवलदार मेजर की फटकार, इन दोनों से हो गया है दुश्वार, देश के प्रेम के लिए मैं कर देना चाहता हूं अपनी जान न्यौछावर. At that particular moment, this was a great unwinder, and it was, instead of me giving a pep talk, this was a pep talk by Manjeet.
That's excellent. So, Dr. Vimal, you've sailed from Navy surgery to corporate healthcare, TV, drama, poetry, and even stand-up comedy. So how do you keep all these avatars afloat? Does your naval training power you, or are you just very good at not sinking?
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Naval Manch. Good afternoon, sir, Malik sir and ma'am. I'll start with a couple of lines which my wife, as a naval lady, नवा lady keeps on telling me कि तुम अक्सर कहीं नजर नहीं आते हो, तुम अक्सर कहीं नजर नहीं आते हो। तुम अक्सर नजर नहीं आते, तुम अक्सर नजर नहीं आते, समंदर में कहीं गुम रहते हो, लेकिन ये मिट्टी सलामत है क्योंकि पानी में तुम रहते हो। तो हमारी नेवी की बात यही है, और नेवी सिर्फ हमारा जो मैं ओशन तक ही रिलेटेड नहीं होता है, हम लोग जमीन पर, आसमान पर और पानी के नीचे विद माइटी एयरक्राफ्ट्स, साइलेंट सबमरीन, हम टेक्नोलॉजिकली एडवांस्ड हैं मैम। और वर्ल्ड की 5th लार्जेस्ट इंडियन नेवी हमारी 7500 किलोमीटर हिंदुस्तान के कोस्ट लाइन के पहरेदार, घुमावदार हम हैं इंडियन नेवी।
आप इंडियन नेवी का हो, कंग्रेचुलेशंस। लेकिन मुझे ये बताइए कि आप अपने सारे अवतार्स को बैलेंस कैसे करते हैं?
यस मैम, उसके बाद मैंने सोचा है नेवी के बारे में लोगों को अक्सर ये भावना रहती है कि सिर्फ एक जो बोलते हैं पानी की सतह पर चलने वाली जहाजें हैं, तो इसके लिए मैंने कहना चाह रहा था ये मैम कि सिर्फ पानी पे नहीं रहते, हम ऊपर आकाश में भी और जमीन पर और पानी के नीचे रहते हैं। बीइंग अ सर्जन मैम नाउ, अब हमारे पास व्हेन आई पास्ड आउट इन 1996 आई वाज कमीशन, तो उसके बाद से कई तरह के हमारे पास जवान ऑफिसर्स पेशेंट्स आते थे जो अपनी अपनी इच्छाओं को या कभी परेड से बचने के लिए हमारे पास पहुंच जाते थे। तो मुझे याद है मेरी पहली पोस्टिंग हुई थी अंडमान निकोबार, पोर्ट ब्लेयर इज द कैपिटल, अभी श्री विजयपुरम के नाम से है, जहाँ पर बहुत ही ट्रॉपिकल फॉरेस्ट एंड प्रिस्टीन बीचेस है, एंड इट इज आर्किपेलागो ऑफ अबाउट 570 आइलैंड्स में, बहुत ही खूबसूरत जगह है। तो वहाँ पर मैं शादी के बाद हनीमून के साथ भी वाइफ को लेके गया था ठीक उसी समय। तो बड़ा ही मनमोहक सा दृश्य था, जो बोलते हैं ना समंदर की लहरें, एक आइलैंड थी छोटी सी, उस पर हम लोग बैठे थे और शाम ढल रही थी, जो समंदर की लहरें किनारों को थपकियां दे के सुला रही थी, हवा की सरसराहट से जो मछुआरों की कश्तियां हैं वो धीरे धीरे डोल रही थी। तो बड़ा रोमांटिक सा माहौल था। उसी में हमारी वाइफ हमारे बगल में थी, उन्हें अचानक हमारी बाहों को उन्होंने पकड़ा प्यार से, अपने बालों को मेरे सर पे कांधे पे रखा और बड़े ही होठों को अपने मेरे कानों पे लाकर कहा कि आज तुमने फिर से गीला तौलिया बेड पे छोड़ दिया है। तो जनाब मतलब जो बोलते ना हवाएं रुक गई, सूरज ने ढलना ही छोड़ दिया है, जो कश्तियां थी वो डूब गई। तो ये हमारा पहला था हनीमून के इवनिंग का वाकया। तो सर्जरी के बाद नेवल सर्जन, न्यू हस्बैंड, न्यू पोस्टिंग, उस समय कम्युनिकेशन के नाम पर मैम चिट्ठियां ही आती थी और सैटेलाइट फोन होता था, आप सबको मालूम है। बट वो टाइम अच्छा था क्योंकि उस समय सबके पास था और घड़ी कुछ लोगों के पास नहीं था। आजकल घड़ी सबके पास है और समय किसी के पास नहीं।
जी, लेकिन मेरा सवाल ये था कि आप कॉर्पोरेट हेल्थ केयर, टीवी ड्रामा, पोएट्री, स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी, ये सब चीजें करते हैं, तो इन सब चीजों को, इन सब अवतार्स को आप अपलोड कैसे करते हैं? हाउ डू यू बैलेंस ऑल ऑफ दिस विदाउट सिंकिंग?
मैम मेरी मॉर्निंग शुरू होती है 5-5:15 के आसपास, मैं उठ जाता हूँ। उसके बाद थोड़ा हॉस्पिटल से कुछ जो हमारे पास खबरें आती है, बीइंग अ मेडिकल डायरेक्टर, हेड ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूशन, वहाँ से 9 o'clock आई रीच माई हॉस्पिटल, 6 o'clock वापस आता हूँ घर पे। उसके बाद थोड़ा जिम, थोड़ी पढ़ाई लिखाई सर्जरी रिलेटेड कुछ होती है थोड़ी। उसके बाद शाम या रात जो 10 बजे के बाद आई डू लॉट ऑफ स्केचिंग, आई वॉच लॉट ऑफ कॉमेडी एंड आई राइट ऑल्सो कुछ कविताएं जैसे। और मुझे वर्ड प्ले करने का शौक है, जैसे मैं आपको बोल रहा था कि हमारे देश के नेता बहुत खाते हैं, इसीलिए उनके विदेशों में भी खाते हैं। बीइंग फ्रॉम पटना बैकग्राउंड, मेरी हिंदी थोड़ी सी स्ट्रांग है, तो मुझे वर्ड प्ले करने का बड़ा शौक रहता है। तो ये 24 घंटे में से 48 घंटे निकालने की कोशिश करता हूँ मैं।
Very nice. So, Columnist, coming back to you, in the unique world of the Indian soldier, simplicity, warmth, and wit sit side by side with immense responsibility. Which qualities of the Indian soldier make humor such an effortless, everyday companion? What are the qualities?
You spent them, Radhika, simplicity, innocence, being a Lakeer ka Fakir, innovativeness, or you can call it jugaad. These are the things which make a soldier a well-rounded personality, other than, of course, his primary task of war fighting. Okay, I'll give you a story of being a Lakeer ka fakir. Like I told soldiers of all ranks. You know, I was the adjutant of my regiment. Adjutant is the fellow who is the understudy to the commanding officer. He is responsible for discipline in a unit. I was a young captain and the unit was in a place called Lalgarh Jattan. That time Lalgarh Jattan had a power cut of about 18 hours in a day. I'm talking of 91, 92. And I was, as the adjutant, trying to make out the training program for the next 6-8 months. And the draft training program came from the clerk and it mentioned that there is a holiday on the 3rd of October being Gandhi Jayanti. Now everyone knows that Gandhi Jayanti is on the 2nd of October. So I called the head clerk. I said, साहब ये आप इसको ठीक करिए, मेरा ख्याल ये आपका typing error है. So he went back and brought the official list of holidays which we received from our next higher headquarters and put it in front of me. He didn't utter a word. On it was written Gandhi Jayanti, 3rd of October. And he was giving me a sheepish smile as to, what are you talking? It's on the 3rd of October. And then another clerk, his understudy, the head clerk's understudy comes in. He says, साहब तो कई बार ना ईद भी तो चांद के मुताबिक होती है, एक दिन से शिफ्ट हो जाती है, तो हो सकता है इनका जो जन्मदिन है वो 2nd से 3rd October हो गया. Now I was in a quandary because I was quite sure. By this time I was dead sure, but now I was reasonably sure that Gandhi Jayanti falls on the 2nd of October. So I take this draft training instruction to the CO's office, and I said, sir, Gandhiji was born on 2nd of October. He said, damn it, where is the doubt? I thought you were a bright guy. So I placed both the things in front of him and he said, yeah, there is a doubt. Have you checked up with others? But don't make it public, okay? Check up surreptitiously. If it is 2nd or 3rd of October, because there is a doubt. Because doubt is risen by the list of holidays which comes from the higher headquarters.
It is written. Now
It is written there, black and white, Gandhi Jayanti, 3rd of October. So he, after giving a quick thought, he was a bright guy. So he picked up his phone and he said, Mem Saab ko phone lagao. So the other end, and we were there, I was there. And meantime he told the head clerk, Saab aap line tod kare, aap jaye. So he said, darling, so what's happening? So you must be getting busy for welfare meet or something like that. He said, jaldi bolo. So he said, yeah, of course, Gandhiji was born on 2nd of October. He says, you are the CEO of the unit, you should be knowing that Gandhiji was born on 2nd of October or not. No, please confirm, yaar. 2nd of October ko hua tha. So she said, look, I am very clear about Lal Bahadur Shastri taking birth on the 2nd of October.
What?
So, I mean, you are the CEO, find out from your own means. So finally, this brave CEO, he tells me, he says, don't ask anybody, just go ahead with 2nd October, keep it quiet. Don't publicize it, and meantime just send the thing. So finally, it was settled that it is 2nd of October, but on a hunch. It was not a confirmed thing. We were told not to make it public unless we, get caught for disobedience of orders.
I really don't know whether to laugh at that or whether to weep at that story. Acha, my next question is to you only, which is humor often emerges in the toughest situations. How do Indian soldiers, again I'm coming to the simplicity, balance the simplicity of their nature with the complexity and intensity of military operations? Often, do they use humor as a coping mechanism?
Like I told you, military humor is not structured. It gets orchestrated depending on the situation. And most of the times, it happens and it turns out to be an absurd situation taking place. I'll give you an example. There was this, no names, I won't say it was me. We were in anti-terrorist operations in J&K. I was a young major. And you see there, when you carry out terrorist operations, the first thing that you do is that you cordon the village, where you got information that there are probably terrorists hiding here, and that is done at night. And then once you cordon it, उसको गले में कर देते हो, तो then in the morning you start the search operations. And that time this concept had come around very strictly of buddy system. That no soldier will move alone, he will have somebody or the other with him. And it was to be strictly followed. Now this Major Saab in the morning, he gets a call of nature, and he wants to go around, loosen himself up, and he starts moving alone. So this guy, his buddy, starts following. He said, "Nahi, tum rehne do." And he moves, he goes, starts loosening his pants and to do the job. And once he's done it, he's sitting down, and suddenly from across the bush, a guy crops up with a AK-47, and bang on. You see, it's a split second. I mean, it could have come. It's so embarrassing, a guy with the pants down facing the AK-47. And before that guy could pull the trigger, he could see the bullet hitting his forehead. That buddy of his, despite him telling not to relax, he was with him. He probably may have seen him with his pants down, but the very fact is that he saved his life. You know, this is the kind of, this is now getting the pants down and getting this and all that. So it is a situation which is actually intricate.
Amazing. That's an amazing story. So, Dr. Vimal, you know, the army humor is legendary. What about the Navy? Do sailors laugh quietly on the inside, or have the army just dominated the humor market?
No, ma'am. Thankfully, in Navy, the sailors are more vocal, and if I may say, they are more like civil oriented. बहुत ज़्यादा protocol follow नहीं होता. In fact, और doctor और being in a hospital, सब जो अंदर की जो उनकी व्यथा है, उसकी वो कथा कहने लगते हैं हमसे. तो और especially वो लोग ज़्यादा आते हैं मैम जो 50-55 साल के हैं. I'll tell you a couple of anecdotes, मैम. उसमें एक 55-60 साल की महिला थी जो अक्सर हमारे OPD में आती थी. और जब वो OPD में आती थी तो वो बात अपने हस्बैंड की भी करती थी और अपने घुटनों की भी. तो बीच में कई बारी हमें कंफ्यूजन होता था कि किसकी बात कर रही है, वो घुटनों की बात कर रही है या अपनी बात कर रही है. उसी में उन्होंने कहना शुरू किया, डॉक्टर साहब बहुत तकलीफ देता है. मैं सोचता था हस्बैंड या घुटना. आपको लगता है ये सीधा होगा? मैं तो कहती हूँ इसे बदल ही डालो. अब क्या बताएं कि सताता है कितना दर्दे घुटना, कि एक बार बैठ जाओ तो बड़ा मुश्किल है उठना. तो इस तरह ये जो लाइव होती थी मैम, कई बारी जो एक कपल ऑफ लाइंस होती थी, जैसे ऑपरेशन थिएटर का माहौल होता है, वो काफ़ी स्ट्रेसफुल होता है फॉर द पेशेंट एज वेल, क्योंकि ये उनकी पहली सर्जरी होती है. तो अगर उनके सामने जो मेरी पहली सर्जरी अगर हो जाए, तो जो छोटा सा कॉमिकल थिंग होता है वो मेरे दिमाग में आता है अक्सर. और मैं ना सिचुएशनल आदमी, मुझे देख के बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती. तो वो डॉक्टर बड़ा परेशान था. वो बोलता, डॉक्टर साहब वो स्ट्रेचर पे लेटा हुआ है, हम ऑपरेशन थिएटर में हैं, इमेजिन सीन कहाँ का है. और मैं बोला हूँ घबराओ नहीं अशोक, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं होगा, घबराओ नहीं अशोक, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं होगा. बोलता घबरा मैं नहीं रहा हूँ डॉक्टर साहब, लेकिन मेरा नाम अशोक नहीं है. मैंने कहा अशोक मेरा नाम है, घबराओ नहीं. बोलता वो तो ठीक है, ये नर्स फूलों की माला लेके क्यों खड़ी है? मैंने कहा ऑपरेशन सक्सेसफुल हो गया तो हमारे गले में पड़ेगा, नहीं तो तुम्हारे ऊपर डलेगा. ये चीज मुझे दिमाग में सच में चलती है, लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स कई बारी हम कह नहीं पाते बिकॉज वी हैव टू रेस्पेक्ट देयर प्रॉब्लम्स.
So, Dr. Avnish, तो जुगाड़ है फौज में. It's both brilliant and hilarious. This जुगाड़ you mentioned it once before also. So, सर पहले आप हमें बताएं उसके बारे में, और उसके बाद में मैं आपसे पूछूंगी कि क्या यही प्रिंसिपल जुगाड़ का नेवी में भी एप्लीकेबल है कि क्या चीज़ जुगाड़ के बारे में कुछ.
Okay, yeah, जुगाड़ is it is rampant. We call it innovativeness. I'll tell you a story. There is a senior officer, a general officer commanding, is visiting a unit. And this happened to be my unit, and we had a unit which did not have a boundary wall. It was fenced, loose fencing, sharing with the other units. And there was a menace of stray dogs, tremendous amount of stray dogs. So the CEO held a conference, a brainstorming session as we say, as to how to curtail this menace. ये जो कुत्तों को कैसे कंट्रोल करें. So this conference was held one day, then second day, then the third day. Finally, this young captain, he gets up and he says, "Sir, I have a solution." So by this time, he had exhausted all the ideas from his 2IC, the Lieutenant Colonel, 4 squadron commanders, 4 majors. Now this young captain is coming up, so he finally said, "Yeah, okay, let's have it." He says, "We'll organize a food fair for stray dogs. And everybody, all stray dogs will come and collect at that food fair. And there is no problem. Your visit will go like a jiffy." And so it went off, and he chose a far end corner of the unit, which no senior officer was taken to. And he had some good food for the dogs to come collect till the time the GOC is in the unit. So everything was ordered, and the GOC landed up, and the CO took him in the open jeep to the unit, undeterred, happy that all stray dogs are looked after. In the first turning, the jeep stalled because there was a cavalcade of stray dogs which came ahead of the jeep, and it got delayed by good about 2 minutes before they could cross. Now the CEO's face was flushed, but he's again a jugadu. So he quickly thinks, he says, "Sir, look, we coexist. We coexist, our animals are our friends, they are part of us," and all that, and things like that. And he takes him to the food fair. He says, "We look after them, sir. Look, we giving them food, they are so happy, they are wagging their tails," and that was it. The visit was successful. But he was fuming. After the visit, he called everybody, and he got this youngster. He says, "Now this was your idea, and I was foolish to buy it. And look, it was my presence of mind that I got things in order. Otherwise, what would have happened?" And that youngster was a spunk full of youngster. He says, "Sir, it's not my fault. The cook used too much spices.
Acha.
And the wind direction came from the other unit. So the spices traveled in the wind, and a lot of dogs, we haven't seen so many dogs around. Look at these dogs coming from 2 to 3 kilometers because of the wind direction." So this is the kind of innovativeness and jugaad that eases out situations, and that CEO rose up to become a general, and this young captain is serving a senior brigadier now.
Wow, that's fabulous. But I want to say here that जैसे GOC विजिट करते हैं, हाँ, और बंजर में भी रातों रात फूल खिल जाते हैं, और एक ऐसा तालाब जहाँ पे एक टैडपोल करीब, वहाँ मछलियाँ भर जाती है, और GOC will just like take up a sack of fish. वो कैसे होता है?
You see, this is also a live situation, though it didn't happen with me, so I don't want to talk about it with authority, but I am told that during peak winters, in the month of January in Delhi, when none of the grass turns brown, and probably brown and white, and this GOC comes and he comes to the officers' mess for lunch, and the grass, the lawn is parrot green. In the month of January, there is no sun, and the lawn is shining green. Everything is polished, spick sand. He said, goes back. He says, आरिम साहब जो सूबेदार मेजर आप कमाल है आपका तो ये लॉन है एकदम ग्रीन कहता साहब बस यूनिट की एंड ही says calls out the unit and he is done. And on his way back he tells the ladies, he says, these guys don't know I have also grown up in the same way. How can they have the grass greener?
And Dr. Vimal, would you like to add to that?
कपल ऑफ लाइंस, जैसे जुगाड़ा की बात होती थी हमारे यहाँ एफओसीएनसी सर एडमिरल सर आते थे इंस्पेक्शन के लिए, लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल रैंक के इक्विवेलेंट, तो हॉस्पिटल्स को ऑफ कोर्स फुल दिखाना पड़ता है, एटलीस्ट 80-90% ऑक्यूपेंसी रहती है, तो कोई भी हम चलते फिरते को पकड़ के लिटा देते थे और कई लोग खुद ही भी लेटने को तैयार होते थे उस पे। पर मुझे 1-2 मिनट और दो, मैं कुछ एक किस्सा मुझे याद आ रहा है, जैसे एनेक्डोट की बात जब चल रही थी तो आई यूज्ड टू होस्ट नेवी क्वींस या कुछ बड़े स्तर पे जो हमारे फौज में कार्यक्रम होते थे, तो उस समय मैं और ज्यादा हैंडसम हुआ करता था।
कैसे हो सकता है क्या ये? इससे ज्यादा हैंडसम ये कैसे हो सकता है?
तो उसमें एक सुंदर सी लड़की हमारी ओपीडी में आई थी, वो लड़की इतनी सुंदर थी कि उसकी बाईं आंख ही दाईं आंख को देखते रहती थी। तो एक लड़की के घर में जाता था, उसे हिंदी पढ़ाता था, उसके नैनों का था ऐसा ताना बाना कि कहीं पे निगाहें तो कहीं पे निशाना, यूं तो कमल की पांखें थी लेकिन आड़ी तिरछी आंखें थी। एक दिन उसने मुझसे पूछा, डॉक्टर साहब मेरी आंखें हेमा मालिनी से मिलती हैं? मैं चुप रह गया। दूसरे दिन में जब उसने मुझसे किया यही सवाल तो मैंने सोचा अगर सच बता दूं तो नौकरी छूट जाएगी प्यारे लाल। तीसरे दिन उसने मुझसे बड़े ही अदा से फिर पूछा कि डॉक्टर साहब मेरी आंखें हेमा मालिनी से मिलती हैं? मैंने कहा अरे कन्या मेरा उत्तर सुन के तू जलेगी, जब तेरी एक आंखें दूसरी से नहीं मिलती तो दोनों क्या हेमा मालिनी से मिलेगी? लास्ट लाइन अंत करते हुए मैं ये देख रहा था, मेरी जो तस्वीर यहाँ लगी हुई है, मैंने वाज इन नेवी में वी यूज्ड टू वेयर व्हाइट्स, यहाँ पे ब्लैक, आज ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट, बट जिंदगी रंगीन है सर मेरी, जिंदगी गुलजार। थैंक यू सर।
So, Philip, we are left with the last 5 minutes, but quickly. So, Fauji social life is known far and wide, है ना? And honestly, your book's title could easily have been Booze, Bond and Belly Laughs. काफी मतलब शराब और आपका रज़ी. So, how would you describe those gloriously humor-soaked mess and bada khana nights, and the rituals where jokes flow as freely as drinks?
You want me to talk about, you are trying to pull my leg on?
Absolutely, I'm doing it.
Okay. Jeffrey Epstein? No. So, during my formative years in the army, there was a sermon going around that never trust a man who doesn't smoke, drink or womanize. So, since these were my formative years, I took it seriously. I started smoking, but then subsequent budgets, every time the price of cigarettes would go up and it became non-affordable. Thank you. Womanize, I did attempt, but I got hitched the first time. My wife is here for the last 40 years. I was a failure in that also. And the third one, I was a middle order batsman, but now I am a 12th man or a 13th man. It stays. When I got commissioned, the day I landed in the regiment, we were at Jordia. It was a field area, and all these guys were waiting for the new Murga to come in. And the first question they asked me, it was the evening time, we got delayed at Jammu station, and by the time this rickety one-ton got us to Pamwada Chak, place called near Jonia. So the first question, this senior subaltern of mine, Lieutenant Sidhu, he should be around every time that I talk about it, he is normally around. He says, Mister, you are a mister till you do your young officer's course, so about 6 months you are just a mister. You are not a second lieutenant or a lieutenant. So he says, do you drink? So I could drink. So I said, sir, sometimes. Okay, he said, we got it. So that was the end of it. Thereafter I didn't know what hit me, and next morning I was to go and report to the adjutant. I got late, I had red eyes, I could barely walk because I just did the mistake of saying that I drink sometimes. And he said, so Mr. Stand State, what's wrong with you? I said, sir, actually, I didn't know I probably got drunk. So I thought he'll tell me you stop drinking. But the servant from this adjutant comes, he said, next time, when you foresee a situation like this coming up, have about half kg of butter so that it cools your intestines and you don't get drunk. You know, he could have simply told me stop drinking, but he did not.
So, yeah.
That is the thing which alcohol
Flows freely and bonds and very laughs. So last question for the both of you, is, you know, how do Fauji wives, do they need to have a sense of humor, and naval wives as well, to weather all the storms, you know, that their husbands are going through in the forge, during wars, during insurgencies, etc. Fauji wives.
जो सर ड्रिंक की बात करें तो मैं क्या करूं मेरे साथ पेशेंट ही आते, उन्हीं से मेरी ज़िंदगी बनती रहती है। मैं सर जैसे शाम के वक्त जब कॉल पे हम लोग रहते हैं, सर्जन ऑन कॉल, तो एक बारी मैं ऐसे ही 9 बजे के आसपास हॉस्पिटल गया इमरजेंसी से, वहाँ पे सेम सर एक पेशेंट लेटा हुआ था, फौजी भाई हमारा खुद का, जो कह रहा था कि पेट में बहुत दर्द है। तो मैंने कहा डू यू ड्रिंक? तो उसने अचानक से मेरी तरफ देखा, मैंने कहा शराब पीते हो? लिवर का प्रॉब्लम लग रहा था, शराब पीते हो? बोलता हाँ सर, लेकिन स्मॉल बनाना। तो वहाँ पर भी ये लोग ये ऐसे करते रहते हैं। Coming back to the question, मैम, do the फौजी वाइफ, मैम, I am very fortunate, my wife is a doctorate PhD है, बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ी लिखी हैं, हमसे भी ज़्यादा, और मेरी जो बहुत सारी स्क्रिप्ट्स होती हैं सर, वही लिखती हैं सर। डायरेक्शन मेरी ज़िंदगी का वही है, जो नेविगेशन अगर हम नेवल टर्म में बोलें तो जो हमारी ज़िंदगी का जहाज है, ये उन पर टिका हुआ है। थैंक यू डॉक्टर गौरी।
Wives have a very important role to play. In the afternoon, we are going to listen to Mrs. Malik on the Invisible Soldier. I'm sure this is about the army wives. But when I was quoting my wife, I asked her 2 questions. I said, what are you looking for in a husband? He says, first, he should be smart enough. So I thought, I'm reasonably smart. She's got her hands on a cavalry officer, smart guy. And second one, she says that he should have a good sense of humor. Now I started developing the sense of humor. I said I have to live up to her expectations. जो पता नहीं चलता आजकल क्या हो जाए किसी भी. So when we landed up in the unit, that was the 3rd day or 4th day of our wedding, and before her, my companion used to be my sahib, my buddy, as we call in the army. Who is your comrade in peace? He's helping you with daily errands, and then of course during operations and exercises he's with you in the tank. So he comes and he tells my wife कि अभी साहब हम दोनों की जिम्मेदारी है, सवेरे 5 बजे चाय चाहिए, 8 बजे ये चाहिए, 3 बजे स्पोर्ट्स गेम्स के लिए जाते हैं, शाम को ये होता है। So he gives out the complete वेरवा of the routine of this youngster, captain साहब. And then comes the shocker. He says आप इसको प्लीज कागज के ऊपर 20 बारी लिखें ताकि आप भूल ना जाए. You know, this was the shock that she got. She almost walked out on me. I said, no, this is humor. This is the humor. You have to get used to it. And this is the sense of humor that you're... And she did develop some sense of humor, but she became very romantic after that. You know, she's never been to deserts. The first time she went to the deserts, and the poet in her says, ये चांद सा रोशन डोरा, क्यों कहते हैं इसे कोरा, दिल कहता है इसी में. So that is the kind of, I'm not too romantic, and that's it.
Well, thank you very much, audience. You've been fantastic, and thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for proving that while an army marches on its stomach, it survives on its wit. Now, speaking of stomachs, it's time for lunch, but before we succumb to our hunger, we would like to invite to the stage Mr. Aradhika Sharma and Mr. Ajit Singh Ahluwalia to felicitate our speakers